Well, hello there again. I hope you enjoyed last week's very short case file that we gave you about this very disturbing case of Peter Manuel. My name's Steve Gaskin. I'm the Managing Director of Right Angle Corporate. I was also a former DCI in the Metropolitan Police Service, and as part of that I had the privilege of going to a fantastic university and I studied forensic psychology, and I would like just to pass on to you some of the more interesting parts of that. So thanks once again for listening. You will see that there is a picture here, quite heavily, I've heavily disguised it. The whole idea of this is to prove that we all process information and see things in different situations. Psychopaths see the world differently from us. What do you see in this picture? So, hint, the Latin word for what you're about to see is vitulum, vitulum. So have a look at this for a few minutes. If you want to do it with someone else and see if you can see what is concealed in this picture. And here he is again. You'll see that this is a picture of Peter Thomas Anthony Manuel. You can see there he's born on the 13th of March and he was executed when he was 31 years of age on the 11th of July 1958. You'll see there's a very short newspaper article there, and seconds before he was hung he said thanks very much. Really interesting looking at this chap here, because before he died he wrote a poem which was left in his cell. We're going to refer to that later. That shows very much about the nature of who he was. In case you hadn't got it, the picture on the last slide is a calf in the farmyard animal. What is quite prominent is you'll see its two ears, its two eyes and its nose. Did you get it? Just as a reminder, if you need to download the manual case file, you can do that from our website. If you go to rightangleevents.co.uk, and you can download it from our blog page, which is towards the top right hand side of the website. So what I've partitioned out here, there is a number of different variables that determine whether a person is exhibiting either criminal or psychopathic behaviour. So you'll see there's a cluster that I've put in here. So the first one is impulsive. A lot of psychopaths don't plan anything. They do that a lot of their actions are very impulsive. Secondly, you'll see to the right hand side of that is shallow emotions. People do have psychopaths are very shallow emotionally. They lack empathy and they have superficial charm, and they are very cold-hearted and lacking guilt. It's an interesting part of the law for theft. The police have to prove what's known as mens rea, that's guilty knowledge. Well, with psychopaths, they tend to iron out that part of their brain, so they can't actually form a guilty act, so they lack any form of guilt. This particular, the amount of variables that you see there are enlarged, and what I should do next week is to give you all of those variables, and maybe you can run them past yourself, do it as a self-critique or on someone that you know. What is interesting to note here, it's like everything we do in life. If you're successful, particularly in business or at sport, you want to do better and you want to do more of it. Well, what you'll see here is we've applied some crime pattern analysis, CPA, very crudely, and you can see that Manuel's criminal career, he must be getting more and more confident, because if you look at the gaps between each offence, they're getting shorter and shorter, and it was a good job that he was caught when he was, because clearly, in my view, he would have gone on to commit a lot more murders. This poem was found in Peter Manuel's cell, and I find this very interesting, because what it tells me, what we know all along, that Peter Manuel is very clever. He's clever in terms of the way he's used English here, so he's been able to compile this poem. But as a psychologist or a budding psychologist, if you read through that, what is missing? There is something missing, hugely missing, from those 10 verses of poetry. And what I'll do is I'll get you to look at this slide And psychologically, as I say, there is something missing from that. See if you can tell what it is, and we'll discuss that on the last slide. When you look at the topic of psychology, that is a massive, massive subject. And when you look at forensic psychology, that again is huge. And what I've found interesting over the last 40 years is that people now and psychologists are starting to ask the question, why? So when I joined the police service in the 70s, people's behaviour was not really analysed in the way that it is now. And what's useful is by analysing criminal behaviour, you can start generalising. And of course, at a crime scene, you can take note of what someone says and how they behave. That actually then starts narrowing the field when you look at trying to arrest someone. So in the last instalment, what we'll look at is what constitutes psychopathic behaviour. So what I'll do is I'll give you some definitions. Secondly, and this is interesting, is why there is very good reason, and there will be, to employ psychopaths in your business. One of the best books that I've read certainly is Dr. Kevin Dutton's excellent book. It's called The Wisdom of Psychopaths, and what we're going to do is to run a little competition for you to win one of these books. I have actually got one that's been signed by Kevin for me, and he's pretended that I'm Peter Manuel. Most of our customers know us for producing outstanding and excellent team building through right angle events. But if you've enjoyed the short but enlightening series, that's not from me, the enlightening series from the Manuel program, you can see what crime talks we can offer your company. So what we have is we have a site or a number of people dedicated to doing crime talks, which are of real interest. And the important thing is, rather than our speakers just spouting on about police experience, there is always a management outcome. Really interesting. So if you are interested, with absolutely no commitment at all, either have a look at our website or give me a ring please on 01603 864647. Enjoy the Manual program, and I'm really looking forward to giving you the last instalment this time next week, so you can really take in to consideration who was Peter Manuel, why was he motivated to be one of the biggest psychopathic killers in this country.